Well, part of having a program on exhibiting is to have one on arranging. In other words, exhibiting design. And our speaker today is our district chairman of horticulture of arrangements, which includes the judging of arrangements. And so today our speaker is Terri Lady from Bucyrus. Terri, you're on. I've asked her to talk about East Asian design, and the reason I asked her to do that is because I don't think we've had anybody in the last couple of years talk specifically about East Asian design. Maybe we have, and maybe I just missed it. Because, you know, I was more interested in hyper teas or something. Anyway, okay. Terri.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you use that mic, if you use it, I hope you will, because for people like me that are hard of hearing, this really helps. But you have to hold it fairly close to your mouth because
I don't really want to use it.
Or you can just shout. I mean, whichever you want to do.
Drink here. Okay, today we're going to talk about Japanese flower arranging, which is known as Ikebana. That's just the general term for Japanese flower arranging. So there's lots of traditions and symbolisms in the Japanese arranging. Let's see, and we also like to do, I'll say, natural growth as it grows in the ground or whatever. That's the way we like to see it grow in the arrangement. Not really abstracted a whole lot. Okay. There are many different schools, styles and techniques that have developed over time, but all of them symbolize nature. Okay. Ikebana, it was first practiced as part of a religious ceremony, and then later people really liked it, and it's something that they took into their home to do. So they could do it at home along with the religious ceremonies. And if you have a Japanese home, a lot of times they had an actual place built on the wall for the arrangement. It's called a tokodomo. And it's kind of an alcove where you can set the arrangement. And also included in that are a scroll and possibly other art. Okay. As far as in Japan or Asia, there are over 4,000 different schools of Ikebana. And basically that means there's 4,000 different kinds of Ikebana. It's taught to both boys and girls in elementary school as part of their curriculum. So, and I'll say actually most of the professors that come over here to teach are men. So occasionally we'll have a woman, but usually they're men. And the three most popular schools in the US are Ikinobo, which is what I study. As you can see, they're more upright. Ohara, it's more of a naturalistic design. And Sugetsu is known for its freestyle or more modern designs. Okay. Generally, the designs have three lines. And we can look over here, watch me trip over all this. As you can see, there's three different elements in here. This is what is this? The flowers from from hostas, yeah. Okay. This is called the shin, and this is called the soy, the backwood, and then the flower is called the tie. This is the basic, I'll say, arrangement that you learn in the beginning. Also, you learn some other things. One of the first things I learned was moramana. Moramana is usually done in the flat bowl like this. And we use the Kinzan with it and place it in there and then do that, fill it with water. But we're always looking for the triangle. If you would come up here and look at this from the side, you can see that there's a triangle. If you look at the one in the back, which is a nagara or a tall container, you can see the triangle in it. So one of that's something that we're always looking for is the triangle. Okay. Let's see. What else do I have in here? Along with the triangle, we have emphasis on depth, and you can by your placement of your materials, you can create like an entire landscape because of the depth. Because we have different materials, you know, we keep the I'll say the twig stuff or the branches, we kind of keep those in back and the flowers in front of the materials. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have? Also, in the nagara that I have here, in a lot of these, we do use the Kinzans or floral foam. In nagara, we use cross sticks. We cross the sticks and then tie them together. You put them down in here and then pull it back up, and they'll come right here in your top of your container and set there. So that's divided into quarters. And depending on what kind of nagara you're doing, you may use 1/4 of it, half of it. Sometimes they'll use a little bit more, but that's kind of what this is. If you would come up and look at this, I forgot the sticks, but if you come up and look at this, you'll see that half of the container doesn't have any material in it. It's all in just one side of it. Okay.
Can you tell that just from looking at it from
Yeah.
this far away?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, maybe. You can't. I'll say you can't see really unless you look down into it to tell what part you're using.
So if it's being judged, that's important?
If you were doing this style,
Okay.
Okay. Which, okay, I can go into that now. With the judging of these arrangements, I think probably when I first started doing them, we would have the actual classes. There might be a class for Morabana. Ann Smith did this one, thank you, Ann. This is a freestyle, there might be something for freestyle. This is called a shoka. So the classes were divided up into what they actually were. It was Gary Barlow and Lou Shoup. At the time, I think Lou was National Arrangement Chair.
He was.
And Gary was our district director. I know that they rewrote the arranger's handbook. And like I say, he used those terms for it. Let's see. So, I forgot exactly what I was gonna say here, but.
When you said classes, do you mean that's part of those 4,000 schools?
No, in the, part of the 4,000 is the different schools. You know, I study Ikinobo, O'Hara is a school, and Sugetsu is a school, Ichio is a school. Those are about the only ones that are taught in the United States, but in Japan, there's over 4,000 different schools for them.
Can you really tell that much difference in that many?
You can a little bit because some of them are very formal and then some of them look very natural. So you can tell a difference. I couldn't tell you which one
Yeah.
because we don't study that many. But there is a little bit of a difference. Sorry. Okay. Now, some of the tools that we use are Kinzans. I don't know. It's a metal circle, and then it has the needle points sticking out of it. We can use those. I use those for the shoka. You could use that for the Morabana. We've already talked about the cross sticks, and then they're starting to be more acceptable to the floral foam. That they were a little, I'll say, maybe hesitant just because it wasn't a natural thing to them. So, but now they're using that. And our clippers are called Hasami. These come from Japan. They're, depending on what ones you get, they can be fairly expensive, but it's a little bit like scissors. But I will say I could easily cut a 3/4 inch branch with these. Just one snap and I could cut it. So they're very sharp, they're very useful. Okay. So, and I brought along some of the containers. Like I said, this is a shoka container. It's larger at the top, kind of a cone shaped. You'll always see that some of them might be lower, but they're still the cone shaped. A lot of times when you have the lower ones too, they have a plate in them, so you're able to set the Kinzan on a plate. I kind of forgot that this one didn't have one, so we kind of improvised so it would stay where it belongs. What else?
Does the color of the base make a difference?
Yeah, there's seasonal things. I can't remember which season is which, but the thing is the stones and the base are either red, blue, black, or white. So depending on the season of the year, that would be the container that you more than likely use. It doesn't really go for the flowers that they need to be those colors, but the containers, so they're seasonal. Okay. And then this is, did I ever talk about this? This is one of the containers that we use also. It has two different holes in it that you could use. You can put the floral foam in here, that would work well, and then build the arrangement from that.
That looks like a modern container rather than a traditional.
It does. It looks very, very modern. And that's kind of because the freestyle can be very modern. So anything that would be put in a container that's not this shape, or this shape, a lot of times would be considered a freestyle. I would say actually, okay, I would say Ann's is probably a freestyle also, just because it's not in the flat container or in the Shokas container or the Niagara. It's different from all of those, so it would be a freestyle. Okay, let's get into judging a little bit. Like I say, Gary and Lou were very instrumental in setting up the Japanese arranging sections of the handbook for judges, which gives you a lot of explanation on what they're looking for. And a lot of the same rules that apply to horticulture when it comes to the roses are just like it would be if it was just a single specimen or anything like that. We try to use all the materials naturally. It's okay to trim them, but you don't take, you don't want to make them modern, like there's just one leaf here and one leaf there. You want to keep them so they look like they are still in the garden. Okay. Over here and see if there's anything else. Okay. I have the chapter in the judge's handbook also, so you can see, like I said, they used to have each of the classes individual. Now what we seem to be doing is it's either a tall arrangement or a low arrangement. These, of course, would be the taller arrangement. Something that's done in here would be the lower arrangement. It's good and it's bad. That makes, I'll say, less classes in a rose show if you just have that. And also it can be a little bit difficult because if you're judging this against this, they're not really equal, so it makes it more difficult for the judging, I think. Okay. Anything else?
So Shoga does compete against Niagara or whatever.
Now it does. It can, yeah. Yeah.
So all three of those would be in the same class, those types?
Yeah, they could be. Yeah. I don't know, I'm not really sure if other districts set it up the way we do. I think we kind of did that as we were trying to make the schedules and the number of classes a little bit smaller versus having 10 classes for Japanese arranging or East Asian arranging. So that's how we kind of combine them. And I think it's, over the years, other districts have picked up on it and they're doing the same thing. Because there is stuff in the handbook about it. Okay. As far as, let's see. Another thing that we usually do in these, we like to use seasonal materials. You don't want to use things that are out of season or I'll say hard or expensive, or they might have to order them from somewhere else. If it's something tropical, they may have to be ordered from somewhere. They like to use things that you grow yourself and that are blooming or still green, whatever the case may be, in your arrangement. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I know I got a few there. Anybody else? Yes.
So the sticks that you use to support at the neck of the vase, do you always use like the material that's in the arrangement, or do you ever buy sticks to like support it?
Okay. Give me that again.
Just the sticks that you're using to support the arrangement in the neck of the vase. Like I've seen people and they'll just cut a length of like a woody stem and put it in the arrangement, but if you're not using a plant that's really supportive enough, that's not strong enough, do you like order in skewers or popsicle sticks?
No, you can use about any type of stick cut to the right length. Like I say, I didn't bring this, so there's nothing in here. And if you would come up and look at it closely, it's pretty obvious to see that the arrangement is only in half of the opening. The other half is, although there's leaves and stuff that are kind of covering it up, the right half, for me, is totally empty. There's no part of the arrangement
Or
there.
would they take off points if you like just use popsicle sticks to hold it up rather than some real natural, would that match the?
I would say no, because they're usually low enough in the container that, if you really look down, you might be able to see them, but a lot of times you're gonna have foliage or branches or something like that
It's
covering
just
them up.
considered wedging material that you
Yeah.
don't judge.
Also, there's a chance with this one that, and I didn't do that with these either. The stem, a lot of times you'll put braces on each side of it, and you can angle that or have it straight in your container, and that kind of braces it so it's in place. One of the problems with this is, you can move this and it's just gonna fall apart. So, because there's nothing in there to, like with the Kinsian, there's nothing like that in there where you stick the material in. It's just in there, and will move if you move the container, it'll move.
Do you ever use anything like floral clay or something to stick the kenzans in position so they don't shift on you? Or is just the weight of the kenzan supposed to be enough?
Well, sometimes you could use something, but if you.
I know how heavy they are. I have
They are very
kenzans.
heavy. What is it, what would you say, maybe 1.5 pounds or something like that? They're extremely heavy. So they are not gonna move anywhere. These come in lots of different sizes, from something that's maybe 1/2 inch in diameter up to 4 or 5 inches. I've seen one that was 8 inches across, And I really could never figure out what you were gonna do with it. But usually we use about a 3 or 4 inch. That's what I would use in this type of container. You could also, if you didn't want to use floral foam in this, you could probably put a Kenzan down there and build that in the container. Let's see.
Can I ask a couple off-the-wall questions? So, what's preferred, indoor or outdoor plant material?
Outdoor.
Okay. And then, when you guys go to a national, where people are from all over and all different altitudes, how do they decide what's an in-season plant?
Well, you're just using seasonal plants, so it's whatever's seasonal in your area. You're always going to have roses in it. So a lot of times we don't have to put on the entry card what the other materials are. So you don't need to know the name of them and things like that. And a lot of times, especially if you're in an area where, let's say it's still, like here, if we had a national in, let's say, March, we're not really going to have the material ourselves. So we would go to the florist or the greenhouse or something like that to get the materials. And a lot of times they're going to have the same thing as maybe the florist in North Dakota, maybe the florist in California. So
You have to grow those roses outside yourself, like we do it, for other shows? Or can you go to the store and buy the roses and then use them?
I would say that they would definitely be able to tell a store-bought rose. That wouldn't be allowed.
You still have to mark AG on the ticket?
Yeah. On the entry card, you a lot of times you'll mark AG at the top, as arranger grown, so they know that you grew the roses. They don't necessarily have to be your roses, but
You can't win any of the
yeah,
prizes.
you can't win the national awards or
Certificate.
the certificates unless you use your own arrangements or your own roses.
Can you use your neighbors? Does it make a difference? in
That's a
growth?
gray area.
No, it wouldn't make a difference. I mean, there's been times if I needed a rose that, I'd go over and kind of peek into the trash can and see what somebody that's a very good arranger just threw away. So,
You want to do the slide?
yeah, we've also got some slides of some arrangements so you can see what we typically have at a rose show, or I've been taking lessons. I go to Columbus and Cleveland both for lessons once a month, and I've been doing it, I don't know.
Long time.
Yeah, a long time, probably 15 years or so. Some of the arrangements are probably from exhibitions that we've done there.
They
so.
don't have roses in them or anything.
Yeah, that's true. They probably don't have roses in them either.
No, we shouldn't.
So, yep. So you can.
Once you stand out there and I'll hit the slides.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that is Lou Shoup for one thing. Like I say, he was probably the national arrangement chair at that time. You can see by that is a shoka, which would be like this. You can see that he's used a lot of different materials, and if you look here, you can see there's lots of holes in this. That's, we want it to look natural the way it comes. So, he left that on there, and it's not what we would think of as perfect, but in the arrangement, it's perfect.
Excellent.
This is Gary Barlow. another shoka that he's doing. Okay, this is the Morabana in the flat container. And as you can see, there's 3 different materials. Usually in the arrangement, we learn how many materials go in each type of arrangement. So we've got the pussy willow, the tulips, and what is that, probably chrysanthemums or something like that?
Did you say that was in a rose show?
No,
No.
You'd have to have at least one rose
yeah,
in a rose show, wouldn't you?
yeah. These are most examples of the Japanese design.
Okay.
But also, there were 3 elements normally and everything? Well, odd number of elements.
Yeah.
Odd number, not, okay.
Odd numbers are good?
Yes.
Odd numbers are good. And never use 4. 4 is death in Japanese, so you never use 4 in anything. Even if you have to stick one behind or just a little one stuck in somewhere, you don't use just 3
What kind is that?
or 4. Pardon?
What kind is that?
That is a Nagara. It's like the tall one that we did. In this one, they have 3 different varieties of material. In mine, I only put 2 in there. So you could do that either way. I was gonna say, yeah, I can see. I'm gonna get in here. I can see right in the center of it, a stick going through there. So they've used the kind of stick method to hold them in place. So you're arranging against the sticks. This is probably one of the first type of arrangements that there were. It's called a tatehana.
How do you spell it? Papihana?
Tatahana.
Thank you.
We don't do those very often. There's, I think, 1, 2, 3. There's like, I think 7 different varieties in there. There's no kinzan or anything like that. You have to brace them in there and try to somewhat make a straight line with it. They're very difficult to do.
That's not a Nagara, even though it's tall and skinny, right?
Yeah, right. That's a tatayana. You can tell that by the container, for one thing.
Doesn't have the lip at the top.
Yeah,
Nagara would have to be just straight down.
yeah.
And you got the
And
little
it would
lip at the
and
top.
it normally has the lip. This is kind of the way that we learn. There's a lot of drawings and things like that teachers have had over the years. So this is called the shin. This is called the soy. And this is called the tie. Now, one of the things that we also look at is the direction of the sun. And for that, it may be moved this way, or it may be moved that way. So the sun, which way the sun is coming from it, we call that the shady side and the sunny side. This is areca. This is probably one of the most intricate, hateful designs I've ever. I will say the first time I actually did one of those, it took me about 12 hours to do it. I'm down to probably 4 hours. I've done enough that it's done in a kinzan, and it's basically, well, go to the next picture for a minute. I think that'll nope. No, it wasn't there, sorry. There's going to be a one of the pictures we have has a diagram, so you can see the placement of these. But it's like I say, it's very difficult to do. And everything is built around this, the first one you put in, everything is built around the show shed.
Do all those mean something, those words?
They probably do. I'm not really sure. I would suspect that it has to do with what kind of branch it is. You know, Nagashi might always mean that it's a branch that's just coming out that's not really angling up, that it stays kind of flat. You can see that we still have the shin, the tallest one, even both of those arrangements. Some of them in this also, it's kind of an arrangement that you can look at from any angle. And see, most of these you just look at it from the front, but that you could look at from different angles.
What type of arrangement is that?
That's called a Rika.
Eureka?
Rika, R-I-K-K.
Rika.
Yeah.
And the numbers is the sequence you typically put it together in?
Yes. Yeah.
So every Rika arrangement would have to have all of those elements?
Yes. Put in those specific
And so,
places.
and every shoga only has those 3 elements?
Mhm. Yeah, we probably would never have a class for Rikas,
Yeah.
just because of the amount of time it would take. Okay. This is probably the first arrangement that you ever learn in Ikebana. It's aspidistra leaves, and as you can see, that's the only thing that's in there. The purpose of this arrangement is to teach you the parts. So you can see the 3 that are standing up fairly much, those are like your shin parts. And then you've got one curved and going to the back. That's your soy. And then the one that's coming to the front, that's kind of bent, that would be representative of your tie. Okay, just another arrangement that we did. That's probably a freestyle.
Yes,
I thought I'd show you pictures of really nice arrangements. And as you can see, it's probably very seasonal plants that they're using. Okay.
Does that have a rose?
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing there.
Okay, this, this is another shoka, but it's not the same one as this. This is called a shoka shimpu tie. As you can tell, it has fewer elements in it, where it just looks very much simpler. And that's probably the last arrangement that's been introduced. That was in the 70s. So it has the 3 elements, but you can pretty much line them up however you want to.
Why 2 roses rather than 3 or 1?
Yeah, with this, you want an odd number of stems.
Oh.
You got the 2 roses, the leaves, and then the 2. So you want to, so for that, you want the number of stems. One time I was in a class and we were doing those, and we asked the professor, you know, how many stems you could use, because there could be only 3 stems, 1 of each. And he told us that the most he'd ever seen in a shoka shimpu tie, the very simple arrangement, was like 17. So,
17?
yeah. Yeah. There again, a shoka. You can see Laeatrus, what do you call it? Yeah, calla lily, and then just some sort of leaf. I'm not exactly sure what sort of leaf we did. If you were up here close, you could also see, you can see a lot of the Kinsian in this too, which is okay, that you can see that. This is probably a freestyle. Because it doesn't really have the shoka form, or they're not, because of the placement, it wouldn't be a shoka, it would be a freestyle.
Anything on that one?
Yeah, this is just another shoka type.
Was the other one a Shoka freestyle?
It would just be a freestyle.
Okay.
Same thing. That would just be,
Freestyle?
yeah, a freestyle arrangement. And like I say, well, this container is a little bit similar if you didn't have the extra part that was coming up. That's just the curve with the hole in the center. Another freestyle that we have, it only has 2 materials in it. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a hole in the front of it, and that's where the lily's at. You put a Kinsian and some stones, probably in the bottom to hold the flower, and then there's a little space here at the top where you also could put a Kinsian to do the top if you wanted to. It wouldn't be necessary to do the top, but it makes it more interesting if you do both.
In the freestyle, each element have a Japanese name like Shin and Soy and Tai?
And not in freestyle.
Not in freestyle.
No. Okay. This is just another freestyle, another version of that. And as you can see, it's 2 containers that are the same. They're different colors, but they are the same. And we use the branch to connect them. So that's kind of different. That's another freestyle. And the idea here was to take the plant material and bend it so it would be a triangle, because your container's a triangle. So we're mimicking that along with the sunflowers.
Were those triangles plant material?
Those leaves,
Yeah.
Just stems that are bent, huh?
probably a
Yeah,
grass of
yeah,
some kind
yeah,
that
they
you
were
can bend.
Probably grasses that we used for that. Okay, this one would also be a freestyle. It's got, 4 different materials in it. The Kinsian, it's, I'll say kind of a cup shape, and the Kinsian would probably be down here. A lot of times you want to put stone or something like that on your Kinsian to hold it in place, or have enough stone around it so it can't shift. Okay, that's a Moramana, like the one we talked about. You either see the flat container here, or kind of a bowl type shape for that. This one, because of the design, is known as a fish path, because it has materials in 2 different Kinsians, and the idea is that the fish would be able to go around and get through it wouldn't just be stuck on one side because there's places where it can go through and be on both sides. So that's why we call it a fish path. Okay, that's another fish path. Okay, this is another freestyle. A very popular thing in Asian countries is to do arrangements in baskets as opposed to in containers like we do. So that's an example of one of those.
Is there a vase or something down in for water?
Yeah, depending on the shape of the basket, that's probably got maybe some sort of tube in it or something like that. Or maybe one of those, I'll say, small vases that's just like kind of tall and, you know, maybe a quarter or an inch in diameter, and you could put everything in that.
That's your last one.
And that is it. Wow. So is there any questions?
You remember a lot of these slides, they took them at their classes, so but roses could be used for the flowers interchangeably there. It's just, they don't use roses that often.
Do they use a lot of roses over there?
I don't think so.
Sometimes we use roses, but it's not like every design we do has roses. So. Okay, thank you.
Where's the best place to try and buy some of the containers?
Well, I'm very glad you asked that question.
She's here to sell.
And I keep saying I'm going to do this, but it's just going to take forever to do. So I kind of keep putting it off. I ended up with probably 200 or 300
Of Lou and Gary.
of Lou and Gary's containers. His family didn't know what to do with them, and
Trying.
they knew how much that he enjoyed Inkabana. So what they did was just gave them to people in Inkabana. From what, I was never at Gary and Lou's house, but from what I heard, you couldn't really get through the house because of the containers. And I believe that now, since, like I say, I've got 200 or 300 of theirs. So if you're looking for a particular style of container, I probably have it if you're interested.
And you're selling these through the Columbus, Inkabana is
Yeah.
making the profits on it.
Yeah,
The group there, not personally, so
yeah.
they go into the treasury there, they don't resell anything.
You had them for sale at one of the district meetings.
A
Right,
few years ago, we sold
Did
some.
you sell some then?
yeah, we did a
Would you
few.
consider doing that again?
You want to lug all this stuff for me?
It's easier to take the pictures and send them around and say somebody wants
Yeah,
one than,
Yeah,
you know,
like I say,
you got a lot of pictures yet.
I keep saying that I'm going to make like a scrapbook with all of the container pictures in it, and then you could just, take the picture out, write your name on the back, and, have a little sticker on there how much it costs, and I could bring it to you, mail it to you, whatever you want. But there's a lot of containers. It takes a long time. Yeah. When I retire.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.